Hi guys, according to some Muslims, I seem to have contracted an illness of some sorts, Islamophobia. In the last few weeks, I've come across this expression so many times that it started bugging me, and I wonder whether anyone can provide some insight here. Because Islamophobia, Islamophobic, I've been called this endless times now, as has any person, I think, criticizing Islam or any human not wanting to live according to Islam.
5 women have staged a topless protest in front of an Islamic centre in Brussels.
We are automatically labelled Islamophobic, certified by the people who endeavour to live their life according to Islam. But pardon my ignorance, what exactly is this Islam, and what about the word phobia? Let's start with the easy part. A phobia is an unwarranted fear of something, such as arachnophobia is the fear of spiders, unwarranted because a spider doesn't really attack and devour a human, well, not recently at least. But here's a list of the most common and the craziest fears, like ergasiophobia, the fear of work, and what many Muslims seem to suffer from, gymnophobia, the fear of nudity. But can something like Islamophobia exist? Does this word appear on the list of the most common fears? No. Should it be? Well, is there really need for such a word? Does it actually make any sense? So, back to the beginning. Islam. Islam is a kind of an ideology, a worldview with a religion. It's a socio-political system which is based on a book, which the followers of Islam, the Muslims, claim is the work of a supernatural being, which they call a god. A god which has never in the entire history of the universe manifested itself or been proven or shown to even exist. So, what else is Islam? Well, according to Wikipedia, an ideology is a set of conscious and unconscious ideas that constitute one's goals, expectations, and actions. Well, since Islam inspires people to live according to the goals, rules, and methods that it has set out, it governs the Interior Ministry, the Foreign Ministry, the Economics Ministry, the War Ministry, the Finance Ministry, and the Ministry of Justice, making it a political ideology, just like capitalism, socialism, nationalism, anarchism, communism, and so on and so forth. And a religion, a state religion that, like the Islamic Republic of Iran, or the Islamic Republic of Mauritania, or the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and so on. There are countries where they have decided to accept the Quran, a book which appeared more than 1,000 years ago, as basis of their country today, along with a being which has never been shown to even exist. Are all countries where Muslims are the majority an Islamic Republic? No. Well, why not? Muslims believe there is evidence for the existence of a God, their exclusive and yet highly jealous God, without caring that 80% of the world's population beg to differ. Well, they believe that they should pray to this, their creator, and pay some money to an institution, go walking around a big black cube with a black stone, stop eating during the day for a month. Well, not really, but wherever this happens to be possible. Now, if this is the definition for a follower of Islam, the Muslim, is this the set of rules for all Muslims? No. Some believe in more rules, some believe in less. Some believe they should follow only the Quran. Some follow mainly what a person named Muhammad said and did over 1,000 years ago. And some follow their local imam and some don't. There are as many interpretations for what Islam is as there are followers. In other words, there is no such thing as the Islam with one definition which covers all aspects. So, which version of Islam do I need to be unnecessarily afraid of? Which version of Islam should I unjustifiably be afraid of? Well, maybe since not a single day goes by without news of some Muslims somewhere killing humans, I should be afraid of Islam. But then it is a justifiable fear and not a phobia. This doesn't really work, does it? So let me try something different and look at those who mostly use the term and what the effect of Islamophobia would be. Is there an example for Islamophobia accepted by all Muslims? No. Is there an example for Islamophobia accepted by all non-Muslims? No. Is there a commonly accepted example for Islamophobia? No, also not. So this also doesn't work. Wikipedia defines it as Islamophobia is prejudice against, hatred towards, or irrational fear of, or racism towards Muslims. Prejudice against the Muslim race? Who would write something like this? What are the characteristics of the Muslim race? The beard? The Jewish style, the skull cap? Or their cute dress the men wear? No, that's clothes. That's not racial. What is racial about a Muslim that stands out? Nothing. I mean, is this just a hiding place? What nonsense. I mean, and all other phobias are pretty much defined. Why isn't this one? The Wikipedia definition would also cover almost anything ever brought up about any group in history. So this is a load of rubbish. I mean, it's childish Muslim propaganda and a dead end at that. So let's look at a different area where the term Islamophobia is used. When Muslims feel a person criticizes their unsubstantiated claims, or when someone says something true about Islam the followers don't like. When a non-Muslim quotes a sentence from the Quran or the Hadiths without quoting the sentence which says the opposite. The summary then is that the word Islamophobia is used by the followers of Islam who can't bear to hear the truth and can't stand any criticism, whether factual or not. Is there a reason to be afraid? Well, there's nothing to fear for those who submit to the ideology. What about those who don't? According to the Quran, they go to hell and get tortured. And this is repeated something like, 83 times. But is it Islamophobic to be afraid of torture when I am dead and can't feel anything? Well, yes, apparently it is. So my understanding of Islamophobia is that I should be afraid of Islam and Islamists when I am dead. And then it is still unwarranted. Oh boy. No, this really doesn't make much sense at all. Is there anyone with a definite and logical explanation of what exactly Islamophobia is? Is telling the truth about a sentence in the Quran sufficient to be called an Islamophobic? Is showing that a claim made by a Muslim is actually a false claim or an outright lie sufficient to be called an Islamophobic? I mean, there is a solution which is, as always, quite simple. I can either choose to submit to an invisible, jealous being which provides nonsensical instructions for some sort of life when I'm dead, join in the obligatory Ramadan ding-dong and all will be well. Or I demand that Muslims decide on an acceptable definition of what they themselves deem as being appropriate. What they consider to be an appropriate criticism of Islam, and then set the rules for what may be criticized in Islam and in what way. Bring some examples to the table of what may be criticized and in what way. You do it. What kind of criticism is acceptable? You tell us. What may be criticized? You make the examples and show us what may be criticized. Be productive and provide some support for a form of productive criticism. Be productive and come up with a word that does this act justice and not this ridiculously irrational word. Then let Muslims decide which sentences in the Quran need to be updated and elevated or reformed to represent the reality of our civilization and the modern world today. Then do the same and select some relevant sentences from the Hadith. Just mark the sentences which should be taken allegorically or as irrelevant today. I mean, we have a different state of civilization than we did in the 7th century, and we can all get along and play nicely. Or face the all too obvious trend visible today of Islam becoming extinct. Oh, there is another alternative. Recognize any real prejudice against you for what it is, anti-Muslim. And that way we can all have a civilized and constructive discussion without your beliefs being abused as a source of scare tactics or hatred against all Muslims. Thank you for your time.